Ladies and gentlemen, we have an answer. Pierre Gasly is bound to Alpine, and Nyck DeVries is bound to AlphaTauri for 2023. Let's get right into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm joined by my co-host Mark. Mark, the news has broken that Pierre Gasly is going to Alpine in 2023, and that Nyck DeVries is getting his shot in F1 with AlphaTauri. What does this mean for both drivers?
So I think this kind of means that Pierre is leaving the Red Bull nest after a very unsuccessful bid at the senior team with Max Verstappen. He gets his chance again to drive for a big name team in Alpine, and Nyck de Vries, after several years after he's won his F2 championship, finally gets his drive in F1. It's not where I thought he'd end up because he's been a lifelong Mercedes driver, but it's on the F1 grid nonetheless.
Yeah, just focusing on Pierre Gasly for a quick second. I think that what's really interesting is that he joined the Red Bull program in 2014, and yes, he tried to be the number two driver for them. I believe it was the 2019 season, but it was very just an unsuccessful year for him. Do you think that we can expect better things from a more mature Pierre Gasly as he heads to Alpine in 2023?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Um, well, if they can get over their engine issues and their unreliability in the car, I think that this move for Pierre is going to make him trend upwards in the Formula One, uh, I guess, circus.
Definitely. And I think that, he's so deserving of a spot after waiting so long in the wings with a sister team. He's finally getting a shot to finally show that he can be a consistent points finisher. And that Alpine is hopefully going to be a good car next year. They've done, I think, a really great job for this year. It's hard to see them take a step back next year. What are the expectations on Pierre Gasly? In my opinion, I think that he will probably be, a top 10 in points next year. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely, easily. Um, it's I think it's a wrong move for uh Fernando to leave Alpine just because the way that the car was looking. It's a really incredibly fast car. And I think that there might be some regrets on Fernando's side of side of things, but Pierre, I think, definitely will end up being a consistent top 10 finisher, much like Fernando and Esteban. When they have a good race, they have a good race.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how he performs in a top team again, and just how well he handles the pressure.
Do you think this puts them in contention for the constructor championship if they can continue to develop their car well? Because I think so. I like again Fernando Alonso, for as good as he is um Pierre Gasly is just as good of a pick considering his age and where he's at in his Formula One career. Um, I think that a combination of two young drivers who are going to be hungry to win, I think they can definitely make some noise for the constructors.
Oh, definitely. And two French drivers for a French team, let's not forget that. And that was something I've always wanted to see on the F1 grid. And it's finally coming true. I think that if Pierre can handle the pressure, it's definitely going to look upwards for Renault, Alpine, whoever you want to call them, in the future. And, he's a very easily moldable driver. So however they develop the car, I'm sure it'll suit Pierre and Esteban just as well. And they used to be teammates. They used to race go-karts together. But their relationship got a bit frosty. And it hasn't been the best. So we'll have to see if there's any on-track fireworks between the two.
Well, I was just about to say we did report a couple of weeks ago that Pierre Gasly and Esteban don't really see eye to eye. Esteban was vying for Mick Schumacher to get the Alpine seat next to him. Obviously that didn't really go his way. Do you like what are your expectations in terms of their partnership? Because you look at how um, you know, when there are two contending drivers on the same team, they're both in what are the primes of their career. They're both great drivers. We already know this. But when you look at how it's gone in the past with guys like Lewis and Nico and even Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, do you think we can at some points next season expect that kind of animosity on the track?
Don't forget that Esteban Ocon is notorious for having inter-team rivalries. Just look back in 2018 with his rivalry with Sergio Perez.
Right.
That was intense. And it could get, just as bad as that. We could I'm questioning now whether or not it's in Esteban's best interest to stay with the team. He might end up leaving. Who knows?
Yeah, I think he'll be locked in for the rest of his contract, and then we'll see. Who knows? Maybe being on the same team can heal that relationship that once was, and they'll create a new bromance. By the way, it's unfortunate to report that the Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly content is going to be coming to an end after this year, folks. They are such an iconic bromance over the last couple of years, and I think we both can agree that we're dearly going to miss all the content that they were making together.
Maybe that's why they were so intimate at their karaoke session the other night. Hey, and you know what? The other thing is that AlphaTauri now has two similarly sized drivers. Nyck DeVries isn't that tall, and neither is Yuki Tsunoda, as all of us know. So they've leveled the playing field with driver height.
Oh, I'm glad that you've brought up Nyck DeVries because I want to transition over to him. He finally, Mark, gets his start as you said. He's finally got the opportunity to drive for not just an F1 team, but a pretty good one too. Considering this is his first season in Formula One next year. Because as we both have discussed, he could have gone to Williams or there were other teams in the mix for him. And in particular, Williams, because of their connection to Mercedes, seemed to be the team that he was destined for. But after showcasing what he has in Monza, I think we can expect pretty decent results from Nyck DeVries next season. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I totally agree, especially with the how the ha, sorry, especially how the Alpha Tauri has been trending in the last few development cycles. It seems like that car is going upwards in its development, and I think that, you know, with a strong lead driver like Nyck de Vries, he's won championships in Formula E. He's won the Formula 2 championship. He knows how to lead a team, and I think that it's a great pick for them if they want to progress. And if the rumors that have been going around with Honda coming back to the grid, it might turn into a new Honda team that AlphaTauri that is. And we could see, Nyck de Vries moving on to the Red Bull team partnering with Max Verstappen. That driver pairing right there would be amazing. They're two Dutch drivers and they're two really, really fast drivers, as we've seen in Max Verstappen and Nyck de Vries. And, that might be the direction that, the Genius Helmet Marco is going in. Selling the AlphaTauri team off to Honda and then letting them take that over and then letting two Japanese drivers come up through the ranks. Or other, you know, Red Bull or Honda back drivers. There's one right now in Formula 2. My biggest questions right now are what is happening to these so-called junior programs, because it doesn't seem like any team really has a strong grasp on what they're doing.
Well, I think that Helmut Marko's been pretty candid about that, and has said that he doesn't really like the prospects that they have right now. As I'm sure a lot of people will remember, prior to his scandal, Yuri Vips was a guy that was getting a shot in FP1 sessions, and he's a guy who was in the Red Bull Driver Academy, and then after some unfortunate circumstances that happened due to him being little out there on online. He lost his sponsorship, I believe, with them or any association with them. And I think it's just overall, I think that maybe there's a bit of a drought in young talent because we've just seen a cycle of them come into F1 in guys like Lando Norris and Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, right? I wonder if this is like now a bit of a drought where the generational talent or the really good talent is here, and we're going through a bit of a cycle now where there is not as much talent as previous years.
Yeah, I think you're right when you say that. If you look in the Formula 2 ranks now, you have uh, a mix of drivers. Jehan Daruvala's in the Red Bull camp. Uh, Iwasa is in the Red Bull camp. Liam Lawson is in the Red Bull camp, and they're all drivers that have potential to be great, potential to be drivers in F1. But it's interesting to see the direction that they are taking. And as you said, yeah, Helmet might not like all the contenders that he has in the junior series, but it was a real shock to me that they ended up deciding to go with Nyck DeVries.
Well, I also think that they're looking at the future, and after not getting Colton Herta for next year, I think that they're definitely going to be looking towards. They're still looking towards the future, but they might have to alter it to what they initially thought it was going to be. Because as we discussed, it could have been a potential pairing of Max and DeVries or Max and Mick Schumacher, because Mick Schumacher is still a guy who needs a contract. So I just think that, you know, um, Helmet is looking to the future, and I don't know if he sees the future in any of the younger guys. He probably wants someone who with a bit more experience and a bit similar to the formula that they had when they got Checo, because Checo, he's older than Max, but he's an experienced driver. He's a race winner. He's a guy that can get you consistent points. And look how it's worked out. In Nyck de Vries, when what you're getting with him in the future, if he ever does become a Red Bull driver alongside Max Verstappen, is you're getting a guy who's won in F2, he's won in F3, and hopefully by the time Checo is done his with his time in the Red Bull, hopefully maybe by then he'll be able to excuse me, hopefully by then he'll be able to be a guy that can push for a championship, but even just be a contributor in the constructor championship.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe by that time, Colton will have his super license points he needs to get to F1. Uh, and I just had another thought. As the dominoes start to fall now in the driver markets, I think it's looking more and more likely that Mick Schumacher is going to end up going to Williams and partnering with Alex Albon. And I think that only leaves Haas now with an open seat. And I think we're going to get a shocker for that. I think we might end up getting an old driver coming back to that team or going to that team.
Well, as we did report a couple days ago, that Gunther Steiner did say that a guy like Nico Hulkenberg is definitely in the mix, but he's not a guarantee for next year. There are a couple guys that are vying for that Haas seat. Um, I think Antonio Giovinazzi is also a guy that's in the mix for it. Yeah, I think that we're definitely gonna have to keep on following and seeing, but we're getting a couple more answers in the silly season, folks. It's looking really exciting for next year. So to recap, we have Nyck de Vries going to AlphaTauri and Pierre Gasly going to Alpine. Let us know what you guys think about it in the comments below. If you have made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. Break the news to them. We appreciate all the support, and we will see you guys when either the next piece of news breaks out or in the next video.